Yo, what's up? I'm Coach Rich Thurman, also known as Coach RT3, and today we're going to talk about a few ways I like to train straight leg external rotation at the hip. Before we get started, make sure you smash the subscribe button so you never miss a post from me. All right, let's get started. So the very first thing that I like to do is a straight leg isometric, so a pails and rails contraction to try and get a little bit more of my external rotation in straight leg hip flexion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my leg up onto a box or a bench. I'm going to take my leg into external rotation. So I'm in external rotation here. I've got a slight knee bend. From here, if I had a staff, I'd be able to lift off. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to try and get myself deeper into that stretch and stretch that hip stuff back here in the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my belt buckle and I'm going to imagine pointing it towards the floor. From here, that's going to put all that tissue back there on stretch. I'm going to hold that for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, I'm going to begin to drive my heel into the floor, ramping up to maximum effort, trying to find that line of tissue from external rotation that I would use to engage and drive backwards. So I should feel that all back here. I'm going to ramp to my maximum effort. And once I ramp to my maximum effort, I'm going to reverse that and I'm going to try and contract the stuff on the front side of the hip that would bring my thigh towards my chest. It's not going to happen because I should be at in range, but I'm getting that contraction, that in range contraction of the front side of the hip. After I've done that isometric contraction, I can think about ways in which I want to train that tissue. And so to train that tissue, now we're going to look at doing something that goes through actual motion. So I'm going to start with a staggered stance. So this is how I would start some of my clients in a staggered stance so that it gives them the confidence to be able to be on 2 feet. So I'm going to bring the leg back just a bit so I have space for the kettlebell. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move into external rotation of the hip here. So I'm going to move my hips move my pelvis relative to my femur here. And so what that's going to do is that's going to put my hip in external rotation. From there, I'm going to try not to kick out to the side. What I'm going to try to do is keep those hips aligned as much as possible as I rotate here. And so got the kettlebell. I'm going to be in that position here. I can feel that tissue in the back here, and I'm going to drive this leg in the ground. My back foot is staggered, so I'm going to keep a lot of the weight off of that. Sniff some air into the abdomen, come up, rotate back, stick the hips back behind me, kind of like I'm doing a deadlift or the hinge portion of a kettlebell swing. So I'm working that external rotation of the hip as I move my pelvis over the top of the femur. What I would do next is I would take the staggered foot and I would lift it and do unloaded position. So here I'm balancing, stabilizing, coming over to one side and back up. So that is external rotation because I'm taking the pelvis and moving it relative to the femur as I move into external rotation, touch, and back up. Or I can even do a skater sort of movement as well if I want to get deeper into that position. Then I would take a kettlebell and do that same thing. So I would come into this position, I would stagger, balance, load, and back up, stagger, balance, load, and back up. If you found this video useful, please share it with a friend and be sure to subscribe to my channel so you never miss a post from me again.